I'd like to call this meeting to order. Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the board secretary on October 6, 2025 in the following manner. Posted notice on the school bulletin board in the administration building, transmitted to the Courier Post, Philadelphia Inquirer, and the clerk of Cherry Hill Township. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Liberty and justice for all. Mr. Schimpf, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Fain,
Here.
Dr. Dreisen,
Here.
Ms. Palmer,
Here.
Ms. Stern,
Here.
Ms. Winters.
Here, thank you, Mr. Schimpf. So tonight we have our board retreat, and we are thrilled to have on this rainy night Dr. Lori Banslow from NJSBA here to lead us in some discussion about our board self-evaluation, which we all did back in August, which seems like forever ago at this point with this October weather, and also working on setting board goals, which this board hasn't done in several years. So thank you, Dr. Banslow, for joining us this evening. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And hopefully you can hear me okay. Just make sure the technology is working great. So first and foremost, on behalf of New Jersey School Boards Association, we want to thank all of you for your dedication and commitment to the children in Cherry Hill and just doing a fantastic job. So tonight, what we're going to be looking at, and more than likely just in hours time, we're going to be going over your board self-evaluation. We are going to be talking about goals, and I'm going to share some themes that came out of the evaluation that you might want to focus on because they're your goals. I'll share the themes, but you guys have to decide if you want to own them. We probably don't want to have any more than 3 goals, which we'll talk about. And I'm also going to share an action template that you can take a look at, because I believe, and it's totally up to you guys as a board, that if you don't have action plans for your goals, they're not going to happen. So you can create a timeline. So after the meeting tonight, I'll go back, I'll put everything together, I'll send it to Gina. And Gina, can I share it with Kwame also so he sees it? I'll send it to the 2 of them, the rough draft of the goals that we come up with. And then you guys can take a look at them and decide together how you want to work on the action plans. And that's why I leave you alone after that. So let's just dig in right away. So the first thing I want to show you is the chart. So as a reminder, this is our new board self-evaluation. Remember, I came out and shared it with you. Michelle was with me. And so we don't have a baseline to go from last year, but this will be your baseline moving forward. It's been received really well. So first I'm going to share with you the charts. And just so you know that if you guys can just pass it around, there's just one. If you want to take any extras for the other board members. Each of the charts, we're going to be talking about highlighting some areas that you really want to take a really close look at. So we'll pass it around. And I want you just to focus. Let's just focus on the bar graph first. Okay. So on the back, on the bar graph, anything 2.5 or above on the rubric that we spoke about a while back is good. And the Cherry Hill Board of Education is really doing a great job. I mean, I've met with boards and you guys were very, very thorough with your board self-evaluation, very honest. I've met with boards that have scored way below the 2.0, and they know that that's areas that they need to work on. So you guys have made a lot of growth from the past, from a lot of the comments, a lot of pride, but there's always some things that you still want to continue to do. So if you look at the chart here, what really stands out as your strengths, as you can see, is accountability for student achievement. That is very important to each and every one of you. That came across very clearly. We always want to continue that, as many of you had mentioned in the evaluation. And the other thing I wanted to say is when I give you the evaluation itself, everything is anonymous. You never have to worry about anybody seeing who made what comment. So I just want you to be comfortable about that. Also, the other strength that you have here is resource management and oversight. Okay, so I think that you are doing a really great job there. So some of the areas that I want you to think about that we're going to just kind of dig into tonight is vision, mission, and goals, which is why I'm here. That was something that was important, and I applaud you for doing a strategic plan. Not every district does that. You have your 5-year roadmap. You want to be able to match your goals tonight to your plan. So that's terrific. So you really are working on that first area already. The other area that came up was policy. Doing a great job in policy, a lot of pride, but wanting to continue to make sure that you're being super efficient with policy. That came through very clearly as well. One of the areas I really feel that you want to think about as a theme is governance, the governance team, and relationships and accountability. And as I had said to Gina, I can come back. We can do a retreat once your new board is together. We can do some fun things, some team building kind of things, which I know is really important because you don't get to do that at a formal board meeting. So we'll work on that together. And then community leadership, a lot of strides in community leadership. You want to continue that. When you look on the back, the graph in the back, I love this, this little, although I don't have a color printer at home, my friends, but if you look at the top, the dark area is exemplary, areas that you feel that you're doing a great job. And that, again, accountability and student achievement, 46% exemplary. Resource management and oversight, 43% exemplary. And then if you take a look going across, really strong in every area, but you'll kind of, you're going to be able to take a look at this after the meeting and kind of digest it. And some of your colleagues who are not here tonight can also look at it, because you're really going to want to look at some of the specifics when you start working on those action plans. So I don't expect you to read everything tonight that I'm going to give you. Don't get stressed because there's going to be a lot of information. But once we come up with the goals, which I did pull some themes out that I want you to think about, take this home with you tonight. I'm going to just mention a few things tonight that I want to highlight, but really sit down. I know you want to watch the football game, many of you, so don't worry about that tonight, but really sit down and really take a very close look at the evaluation. I'll just pass those around. All right. And then Gina, just take whatever copies you might need. Okay. So lots and lots of information. I'm going to just walk you through it briefly because I know you're going to be dying to read every single comment, but we won't have time for that tonight because we're going to kind of dig into a few things. But I want to pull out some things that are important. So on page 1 of 20, the first strand was vision, mission, and goals. And that is clearly why we're here today. This is something that's important to the Cherry Hill Board of Education, making sure that they set goals for the year, board goals for the year. Your superintendent has already worked on some district goals that he's been or will be sharing with you, he and his cabinet. So we're not going to talk about district goals tonight. We're just going to talk about our board goals. So this is why we're here. If you turn the page, I'm going to skip over this area and let you read this on your own because it's pretty self-explanatory. So if you go to page 4 of 20, the top area will be policy. This is a strength of the board. But there are some areas that you want to focus on and think about. So encourage the development of regulations to guide policy implementation, use our policies and bylaws as the framework for board governance and decision-making, all different things that you want to just consider. So, policy reviews, policy updates. So making sure that you're continuing to communicate about that. So those are some of the areas that popped out in policy. And one of the things that was mentioned, I just want to read, it says there are so many policy updates that come through Strauss Esme that the process of updating and revising policies can become routine rather than intentional. And that happens to every board. So one area of growth is the board taking a more active role in reviewing outdated policies and proposing updates that are relevant to drive district priorities. So that would be something that you'd want to look at with your strategic plan. All right. I want to skip over to our next element, which is accountability for student achievement, which the board scored very high on this area. So this is a strength, but this is an area that the board all agrees is that's why we're here, is student achievement and making sure we're creating the best pathways for our kids. So although this is a strength, we can tie this into some other goals as we talk about it tonight, okay? Because I know that's something that's very, very important to you. So I want you now to go to governance, which is on page 9 of 20. This is our area where you guys were really tough on yourselves here, okay? And to sum it up, there was a lot of positive things about moving forward, a great team working together. We've made a lot of great strides, but we want to continue to make strides. So I highlighted a couple of areas, just making sure that we are, focusing on annually evaluates its governance, performance, and ability to work as a team with a focus on student achievement. And we can work on some of those things together as we move forward, depending upon what your goals are and what your action plans are. New Jersey school boards can help you with a lot of this stuff too. So this is an area I really want you to take a very close look at before you put together any action plans, because this will tie into many things that are really critically important to you. So one of the things I just wanted to make sure before I go further. Key strength, commitment to student achievement with measurable KPIs and aligned district school goals. That I wanted to make sure I mentioned that was something. Robust responsive policy making, including forward-looking policies on cell phones and AI. Strong support for rigorous curriculum, preschool expansion, and equity for all students. These were all like very, strong strengths. Sound recognition of staff and student achievements to foster a culture of excellence. So those are some of the things that came out that I wanted just to mention. And underneath the governance piece, everybody mentioned that you guys are incredibly engaged and passionate about the work and the students in Cherry Hill. But you want to establish a governance, establishing a governance committee was a great start and has helped make many improvements. We want to continue to do that. And let's see, we want to make sure that we are consistent with our governance. So that's something that every board has to work on. And that setting a calendar was also very important to many of your board colleagues, making sure we do have that calendar through school boards. If you need me to send that, I can send it again. But setting your own calendar, matching that is a great thing. Resource management and oversight, which is on page 13 of 20. This is a strength of the Cherry Hill Board of Education. You did score yourself very high on this area. A couple areas that providing a high quality facilities to support student learning is something that you're striving for. You do have beautiful facilities, but you want to continue that. And finance, we just never know from one year to the next what we're going to get. But I think that you guys are doing a great job here, and you really put some areas in there for consideration moving forward. Community leadership was an area that is a strength, but with that said, it is an area that you want to continue and make sure that you're doing things in your strategic plan, reaching a variety of constituents. And I did hear that the last meeting in the summer, that was something that was important to all of you. So we can talk a little bit more about that. And then the very last strand was the individual board members' contribution to the board team. And I really loved reading the comments here. I think everybody feels that they're working hard and contributing to the team. So very good, very high strength, 3.7 there. So in a nutshell, overall, I believe the board works well together in the common interest of our students and our community. Just reading a few things. Commitment to serving our community and doing what is best for the students of Cherry Hill is what this board is about. Trying to promote transparency and interaction with the community. United in our purpose and in centering students and student achievement. And all members are highly engaged to do the work and are invested in continual improvement. And we like to work in partnership with our superintendent, which is so key to having a board and being able to move the district forward for all the students. So there's a need and a want for more board retreats. Continuing to working on setting goals, looking at our policy and bylaws were some of the biggies that stood out. Continuing to take an active approach to revising policies and bylaws, and prioritizing governance came out really clearly. Another strength that I wanted to mention that was a strong theme was sound fiscal stewardship, clean audits, and oversight of bond projects and budget. Broad community engagement with improved communications in town halls. So you've done that, that's great. And you want to continue to do that. That came out very clear. High levels of member preparedness, ethical compliance, and effective committee work. So great job, great job. I want you to read that on your own, as I said. So what I want you to do now, I'm going to show you, just going to show you an example of, and I did show this to you when I went over the goals, the different types of goals. So we'll just pass this around. This is just a very simple example. And this was a goal that a board did have because they were not evaluating their superintendent each year. They would forget to do it. So this was a goal that they had. And goals do not have to be super complicated. Tonight, our purpose is going to be just to state, I would say 3 goals. If you want to do 4, you can. That's up to you guys. You want to do 2, you can. But you want to have a nice, clear, concise goal. We don't have to dig into the action plan tonight. That's what you're going to be doing together. If there's areas within that particular goal that we talk about that you want to make sure that we think about, that all of you think about, we're going to do that. But if you take a look at this action plan, which I'll send an electronic copy to Gina, the board goal was simple, okay? To evaluate the CSA in a timely manner. Simple, all right? And then they put down the major activities that they would need to make sure they did, who would be involved, the resources that they would need for that particular goal, the timeline, and the indicators of success, all right? Doing the action plan is so important. I went to a board in Burlington County when I first started, and they're like, Lori, we had great goals, but we forgot to write action plans, and we're not getting anywhere right now. So I really strongly suggest you guys do that. Okay, I'm going to give you, these are not goals, these are themes, because you're gonna make the decision. I'm not gonna make the decision. But I'm going to give you a worksheet that has, on the top is the key strengths, some of the key strengths that came out that I read to you already. And on the bottom are some of the themes that came out as possible ideas for your consideration. All right, so let's pass that around. And then I'm going to hang those up here so you can see them up here also. So when that gets to you, just take a minute and read through it yourself. And again, they're themes. I want you to decide. I just put something together just to get your thoughts going. I'm going to be quiet for a bit just while you read. All right. So here, the themes that really clearly came out to me that I want you to think about for your goals are right in front of you, or I'm just going to read. Making sure that, I think we're doing that. That's what we're going to be doing tonight, I think. You know, making sure that we develop measurable, data-driven board and district goals align with your 5-year strategic plan. So whatever number of goals you decide, whatever type of goal, that's what everybody wanted. That was one of the themes, is making sure that it matches they're measurable and they really align to your strategic plan. That was important. Another theme was ensuring regular progress reviews and transparent communication with the community. So you started that with your forums. That's important to you. You've made great strides. Some of you mentioned in the self-evaluation, you wanted it to go further. So that could be a theme or a goal that you're thinking about. Strengthening governance through training, retreats, and adherence to norms of conduct. Another big theme. And this was the one area that I had mentioned that you might want to consider as really focusing, making one of your focuses. Also, increasing efficiency of meetings. We all love to do that, don't we? And committee structures for better collaboration. All right, consistency, better collaboration, making sure. And what I loved also about your evaluations that you listen to each other. You can all, you know, everybody can have a negative vote on something, but you all listen to that to each other and come together, which is great. So this could be a goal also. Expand accountability by tracking long-term student achievement, equity, and post-secondary outcomes. That was also a theme that came up, although that was a strength of the board, and you can tie that into the other goals if you want. Improve proactive financial oversight, long-term planning, and transparent budget communication, also a strength that you have. You could roll it into some of the other goals, or you just keep it going and not make it a main focus. That's up to you. Enhance community engagement by reaching new voices, addressing misinformation, which is a biggie in many communities, and building trust. Okay, those were the themes I felt came out. Were there any other themes or anything that might not be up here that you might have been thinking of or considering?
But just, I think we have a very engaged board a lot of the time, but I think that we are not always visible and present in the community in the way that we are trying to be consistently. And I think that's something that, I think is
It's important.
something to strive for.
Okay, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna put it right over here. So visibility, and that was mentioned in the evaluation. The visibility in the community at events, and I'm just gonna say in community. It can mean many different things.
Well, just to clarify that a little bit from my perspective, I just think it's like, it's part of the commitment of being on the board. And I think consistency, that there's, generally more consistent engagement among, everyone has their moments in their lives where it's not realistic,
Right.
but, I think as an expectation, I think that it stopped during COVID
Mhm.
and it's been slowly building. And I think I'd like to see that more.
Okay, perfect. Everybody good? And ask each other if there's any clarification you need on things. Okay. Anything else that you want to add, Gina?
So I'd like to see the board drive policy in a more proactive way.
Mhm.
I feel like we rely a lot on Strauss Esme and updates, and that's fine.
Mhm.
But in my mind, what does the board do? The board governs through policymaking. And there have been moments when we've done that really well. The cell phone policy, I think, was a moment that we did that really well. But I guess I'd like to see an increased focus on the board and using policy as a way to move the district forward.
So we're going to get all of our thoughts down here. If I misspell anything, just yell at me. We're going to get our thoughts here, and then we'll attack those papers up there with the actual goals. So what other things you think might be missing? The themes. So those were the themes that really came out very strongly from your eval. Everybody okay with those? All right. All right, now I'm going to attack those. We're going to decide, you're going to decide together, how many goals do you realistically want to have? All right, I had a board the other night, they were going to have, oh, 6 goals is way too many. Don't do six goals. So you can decide, but we can work through it together. We don't have to decide right now. So if you had a goal that you wanted to start, your number one goal, what would that be? And we could wordsmith it. I'll give you a draft of the wording, and you guys are going to change it to make sure it's what all of you, the final product is and what you like. And I'm sure, like at many board meetings, a lot of times boards will, read those goals out loud, and so the community hears that these are our board goals. Here's what we've done so far. So go ahead, give me the first most important one. Miriam?
I have to agree with the policy. I mean, we scored low on that on our
Mhm.
self-evaluation. So clearly we all see a need to improve it. And it is one of our stated responsibilities,
Right.
called, I mean, one of the top. So we definitely have room for improvement. I'd like to see us get better at that. So
Okay.
I'd support that.
Does everybody agree with that?
I agree 100%.
Policy?
My input for, at least for the first one, if we're going to do it as essential, like number one being our most important, I personally think that I agree that needs to be one of our goals. For me personally, the way that I'm looking at these is we've identified that there's some work that needs to be done within. So in my opinion, I think working on ourselves as our first goal and then the subsequent goals after that. That's just personally.
And I came across wrong. They're all equally important. Okay. So they're all.
Then I agree with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Good. Good. So give me the wording for policy. How would you, as a rough draft, Gina gave us a few, she gave us a little bit of wording. How can we word the policy goal? I'm just going to put policy.
I think something along the lines of proactively develop policy, thinking of the word proactive, but maybe that's not the right word.
Talk about it and then I won't start writing it till you.
I would just refer us to section 2, page 4 of 20, that maybe we can leverage some of the
Mhm.
wording in policy
Thanks,
to
Dean.
guide
Good
us.
idea.
Yeah. And I appreciate this focus on like what's important. I think that should be what our goals are. I would just also give us a little bit of grace and suggest this is the first time we're doing goals. So one
Absolutely.
priority for me would be, let's set goals that are achievable. So
Yeah.
like I actually loved this sample one. Like, and not to get
That
very
is a
granular,
real,
but that's a
like,
real goal.
that's a
And
real goal
as I
that
mean,
several districts
we
have
want to try
used.
to submit our
Yeah.
CSA
Yeah.
on time. So it's like, I would also just enter into this discussion with that frame of reference too.
Oh, I think this is achievable. Improve,
Policy. Right, no, I agree.
absolutely.
I just mean it's very specific. And so, but I agree. I'm just trying to set expectations.
But I think to your point, Dean, and I think it's spot on, I think maybe broaden it a little bit from there, where keep it basic and maybe it is set a calendar for ourselves.
Not, so you're saying for policy and for.
No,
Oh,
I
you're talking
specifically,
specific for this one.
specific for milestones that we as a board need to meet throughout the year. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Well, NJSBA actually offers a template calendar.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Adopt
Yeah.
that calendar.
But I think we also, this year, we struggled and
We did.
it seems crazy, but the reality is that I feel like things happen and we lurch from big thing to big thing to big thing. And we lose track of, if we really want to have the CSA evaluation done by the statutory deadline, then we need to back that up and look at how much time we have to complete that. So I think,
Yeah.
putting together a calendar of the things that we're required to do and making sure that those things are done in a timely manner, I think would actually be I think that's a really good goal. Because I do think that was a place that we stumbled this year.
So can I pause for a minute, just so I make sure, I'm gonna put governance as the second one, because you had mentioned governance, okay, if everybody's okay with that. And then I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna do calendar, right? And to Gina's point, and to many of your points, like there are, we have our calendar at school boards, but other boards do create a calendar because there's so many other things that are so important. So I'm just gonna put calendar right here, board, like, does that make sense? Okay, tell me if it doesn't, okay. Okay, all right. Anything, those are 3 so far, you can.
I also think governance is very broad. And
I actually wondered if the calendar could be. the
yeah,
governance
same,
goal.
same.
Right.
I was like that because that'll keep us on track. That's a
Right.
But did we-
structure.
So I'm going back through my notes. So the person who was very responsible for driving the bus on this was Ms. Gallagher, and she has resigned from the board to take a job opportunity, which
Okay.
we're very proud of her for,
Good
but
for her.
also
All right, gonna miss
I am
her.
back in my notes because she was leading a lot of this. So that under governance in general, if we want a governance goal, 2 ideas that came up were seeking board certification and also the efficient meeting management was something else that came up that she also had. These are my notes from
Okay,
her from back in
okay.
July. So I don't know if we want a broad governance goal and then like some of these things be the action steps, or if we want to just, to Dean's point, like start low and slow here and pick a measurable chunk like as a goal that we set for ourselves and then strive to achieve it.
If I can suggest, pick your goals right now. Just focus on what you want to have as your goal. Because once you read through this carefully, you're going to come up with really specific action steps that you're going to want. So, but that would just be my suggestion, just to focus on what are the 3 broad goals. And we could put, if you want, you could put calendar under here if everybody agrees with it. But what do you think?
I sort of like the calendar broken out as its own item, just because it was an issue that we specifically ran into last year that I think is measurable, I think is very achievable, and there's a level of accountability for ourselves.
I think that self-accountability piece is what's going to be hard, because one thing that I ran into this year as a brand new board president, had no idea what I was doing, was it's the piece of the self-accountability because I'm the leader, but I'm not the boss. So when it comes time to do stuff, I find myself like trying to get people to do things, but then it's hard.
Right.
We're volunteers.
Mhm.
So I like the idea of the calendar being a goal unto itself, because then that's the framework, so that it's not Gina's calling everybody and saying, hey guys, like for real, we have to get this done this weekend. It's like, listen, we all agreed. We're going to vote on these goals. We're going to get this done. I mean, the big things that we need to get done in a timely manner.
And just to add, like, it's not a small goal. Like, even though it's
Mhm.
achievable,
Yeah.
it is not a small goal
Right.
to put it together, track it, and then update it. And I
Mhm.
say that because previously when I was president, we had what we called an issues profile that we did that had some of these elements, the calendar stuff. And it was a lot to update all the different aspects, had to do with, with committees and topics and events and kind of, but I love it because it's also a process that survives us.
Yeah. that's
Right? It's an institutional historical record that is really important when people rotate on and off, right? Like people, so.
I have an idea of maybe, like we kind of said, we want to keep the calendar separate, but I think that maybe there's opportunity to combine governance and calendar in a sense of, instead of thinking calendar, maybe we can think timeline, and we can also incorporate roles and responsibilities of us as board members into that timeline as far as training and things that would help with governance. Because not only do we need to know when things need to be voted on and things like that, it's also important to know when you need to do certain governance 1, governance 2 trainings, things like that. So there might be, instead of just a calendar of physical dates when things are due, maybe making a
timeline.
Timeline calendar combo thing, which also incorporates roles and responsibilities of board members. Because something that I was thinking of when you were all speaking, another thing that I know was thrown around there in governance was the discussion of creating an orientation process for new board members. We are, every year, I feel like the last couple of years, we've had at least 1, sometimes 2, 3 brand new board members. And it's incredibly challenging, not only for us as a board, but I'm assuming the administration, to keep up with such new people all the time. So maybe doing something that actually could address the governance thing that we want to speak about in a goal, as well as the calendar.
So just a little plug for workshop. Marianne Friedman and I are doing an onboarding workshop that we will give you like the template. that
It's
you can
in my
create.
agenda.
Good. Okay, good. So it's a lot of boards have used that to help.
Yeah, it's funny because as we're talking about this, I went through all the sessions at workshop to build my agenda. Literally every single thing I picked was governance stuff.
Okay,
I feel
good,
like at this
good.
point of where I am, like I'm year 3
Yeah.
on the board, that's where my focus is. So much more so than it was in the beginning. It's just getting your hands around the basics and also like trying to understand the issues. And not that it's not important anymore, but I feel like, to your point, Renee, now it's sort of working on ourselves and building the board team so that we can move to the next level. I feel like that's the point that we're at.
So
Just to
go ahead,
clarify,
Miriam.
okay, sorry, I'm going to wait till we get past this. Is probably a later question.
Okay. All right. We have 3 areas. Policy. We haven't wordsmithed the goal yet. We're going to do a rough draft of a written goal together. That's all we're going to do tonight for each one of them. Policy, we have governance, and we have board calendar / timeline. We're going to finesse that with roles and responsibilities. All right. Are you comfortable with that right now as your main areas? Dean?
I guess I'm just trying to build on what we heard from Ms. Stern.
Mhm.
Do we go with first name during
God bless
retreat? Okay, let's make it informal. I'm okay with being Dean.
sorry.
But no, in all seriousness, for community leadership, and we're talking about this expectation, maybe this falls into what you're talking about, board roles, responsibilities, but could a goal be like we each set a number, like I don't know how we can operationalize this expectation, and do we want that to be a goal?
Is it board participation at X percentage of events? Is
Right.
it each member takes on? It's hard to say each
I
member
was
takes
thinking
on
once
X
a
number.
month or something. Like
Some
I would, rather than like a
expectation.
whole number.
Right,
Yeah.
but just some sort of, it gets to
Yeah.
this community leadership.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do we call this?
element strand.
element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as life gets busy, I mean, we all have kids, we all have jobs, we all have life outside of the board table. It's easy to take for granted that, like, all right, somebody's going to cover it. But for me, especially in this first year on the board, going to those events is really how I've learned all of our individual schools, our school leadership teams, some of our teachers, just getting to know the students, the families. I can't do that without being in our school. So I think it should be a bare minimum expectation that our board members are actively seeking out those engagement opportunities.
So do we want to do 4? Community leadership. We could keep each of them simple.
Well, are we
Okay.
putting we are putting the calendar as a separate goal? Okay.
I am generally in favor of 3 versus more. So I'm also okay taking one of these down. But
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, my intention was to kind of combine 2 and 3 so that it was, we didn't have to necessarily designate a separate governance goal. Because in my personal opinion, I think a lot of it comes from just understanding roles and expectations, which, because many of us are new all of the time, I don't know how far I guess what you have written up there is pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
I'm a little bit struggling with how to measure that other than we've attended or completed X
Yeah,
trainings.
Very simple.
But yeah, so that was kind of my way of combining them so that we didn't have to think of 2 if we wanted to do a community one, or if we wanted to further outline governance.
And I almost had similar thought, but I was considering, did we want to, when we talk about governance, trainings, retreats, adherence to norms of conduct, to me, is that community leadership piece a norm of board conduct? So I was sort of rolling that piece in under governance, but I don't feel strongly about what we call it one way or the other.
So is everyone good with moving this piece underneath governance? This could be part of your action steps. All right, so that would kind of combine it. And then we can get to the community leadership, which was also important on your self-evaluation. All right, so we're going to, this is going to flow into here at some point, and then we're going to do community leadership as a 3rd one. Everybody good with that? Okay.
Yes.
So
Speak now or forever
so
hold your
I-
peace.
I think when we look at our calendar or, our engagement opportunities, there's several every week. So usually, or many weeks there are several, which is great. I think one a month is not going to hit the mark.
But I think we have to make it achievable for everybody, especially the new members. And I also want to just make a plug for something that I've seen as the year went on. I think that we need to somehow, some way, we need to set an expectation that board members are attending at least 2 committees on a regular basis, because that is something that I've seen fall off this year. I think that in the past, when we had the big committees and they were on scheduled nights, I think people were better about, okay, I sit on CNI and P&L and I'm at those 2 every month. This year we tried to be more flexible, which was good in a lot of ways, but I also think people have been kind of, and I think we need to set an expectation about, if we're going to continue to meet flexibly with the committees, which I think has been an asset, that there needs to be regular attendance at committee meetings. So I don't know whether that falls under, we're talking about showing up for stuff, or fall under governance, but I think that I'd like to see that in here somewhere.
So let's come back to, thank you, Gina, to policy. All right. That was the one that we decided. And you're starting to get into some, deep thought about what do we want as the steps? So when you put together those action plans, you share them with each other, and you're going to flesh that out and come to a consensus together. So policy, what would be your goal? How would you, Gina, give us a little bit of a thought over there. Drive policy in a more effective way, increase focus. Tell me how would you want to word it?
Had the word proactive, which I think I think it's an important descriptor of what we're trying to get to, right? Like, it's not just that, oh, it's time to update it. It's been 4 years. It's, like our AI policy, like we need an AI policy, we needed a cell phone policy. Like, we want to be proactive and responsive to the needs that, or ultimately support, the students of
I
district.
think it should be simple. The board, our goal should be take a more proactive role
The board will take a more proactive role.
in governing through policymaking. Now, the question is always going to be,
How is
how
that
are we going to
measured?
measure that? Which is the problem we always run into with this stuff, like how,
So do we walk it back to an even more basic level? Start small and say, we're gonna, one policy for this coming year that is Cherry Hill centered, similar to the cell phone policy. Maybe that's too small. I'm open to it, but one issue that is proactive, that drives the district forward, that is Cherry Hill specific, that is not just a Strauss Esme update. What do you guys think?
I guess my question for further clarification on where everyone's brains are at, or what exactly are we thinking about? Because like the cell phone policy was, I feel like, opportunistic. It was a current thing that everyone's been talking about. It was kind of there for us to, well, I feel like we easily implemented a policy. I'm sure some districts wouldn't find it so easy, but it kind of seemed like low hanging fruit. So when we're thinking about this, we have hundreds of policies. Is your thought of thinking, like, as far as the strategic plan goes, thinking about what we're trying to work on, and now as a very beginning stage of the strategic plan, do we think of policies that we could include now that will help us achieve them? Or is it more looking at a more productive and efficient way to go through all of the policies that we currently have? Like, I guess just to understand, because I totally agree, but I'm interested to know a little bit more of where your thoughts are.
so I think that going through the policies we currently have, like that's what Strauss Esme does for us,
Right.
is to make sure that the policies we currently have are updated. And I think we do a decent job of keeping up with those through that. But I think at this point, that's where this board has that's the level of policy we've been doing, which is like, we get the updates, maybe there's options, and we discuss those options.
I mean, what if we did something like identifying, and we can name it, like 3 policies that would, to focus on to support the annual goals? I mean, it's very simple, it's measurable, it's like, so for instance, the AI policy could fall under that. It's achievable because we're working on it, but there might be other goals that we're redistricting. It's a big part of what we're doing this year. Like, we have policies that need to be looked at really thoughtfully with that. Like, so I feel like it makes it achievable because it is a big goal.
I like that. I like that framing of identify 3 policies
I do too.
to update to support current district goals and processes, or however we want to phrase that.
Say that again.
Identify 3 goals,
Mhm.
3
Policies?
policies to update to support current district goals and processes. I'm thinking redistricting is like a current process.
Do we have, to make sure that we are attainable, do you think that we have, I mean, we clearly have a ton of things going on. Do you think that we'd be able to identify 3? And I know it's okay to not achieve your goal, but just to make sure that we actually can, like 3 would be, okay.
Yeah, I can think of
Think
it.
over the next
Two.
I
12
think so.
months.
Yeah.
Well, and to Miriam's point, like even just thinking about the enrollment rebalancing issue, I mean, that touches so many things. It touches the open enrollment policy, it touches transportation, it touches there's so many other things that are and those policies need to be looked at through the lens of what are we trying to achieve.
Yeah, okay. I like it.
So I'm going to take this wording out.
Well, actually, that was going to be
And
my
we leave
comment,
it.
just in terms of more of a communication I think we can, I liked the proactive lens that we had been talking about previously, but maybe we can combine by just saying the board will, our goal is the board will take a more proactive role in policy, and our action plan is specifically will identify. I don't know, that's more just a nuance.
Policy making, yeah.
Policy making.
But in this case, like, I feel like the first statement is more of our vision than the actual goal.
So the board will take a more proactive role in policy making.
By identifying.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, the
By-
action steps, right, is the identifying. So
By identifying 3 policies to update to support current district goals and processes. It's a rough draft.
I like it
You
now
like
because
it?
it makes it
You like it?
measurable, which is what my fear was with
Right.
the policy one. Like, it seems like, how do we get our hands around it?
But I think that's a good, I think
All
that's a
right.
good approach.
We're good with the first one?
We did a goal, guys.
Wow, you did one. You got one done. All right, two more to go. Two more to go. I know we have the Washington Commanders.
And 13 minutes,
All right, here we go. Okay, governance.
but who's counting?
Ooh, all right, governance. What do we have up there for governance? I don't know if I had a draft.
So-
Maybe in
Yeah,
terms of
what do you
time
think?
management, I think this one might be easier.
Let's
to
go to this
accomplish.
one.
Do you
Want to go this one?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the easy one. Community leadership. What would be your goal?
I mean, I think whatever we end up deciding, I mean, I think a very measurable thing is just how many we attend and also different activities. And I'm just gonna say it. It's comfortable to go to places that we're familiar with and that we're used to, buildings we're used to, but we really need to be rotating around to all different buildings and types of activities, community activities, building activities.
All the different levels.
So how do you want to say that as a goal? Reaching different constituencies.
So there are 9 of us, well,
Mhm.
soon to be 9 of us. I know, like, I agree there's so much going on and one might seem like insignificant, but at the 9 of us and to make sure that we are being realistic to everybody's other commitments, I personally think at least one a month, but diversifying all not, because all 9 of us are expected to do it. But I don't know, maybe an action step would be diversifying what that is, but I agree with you. I personally think that attending at least one community centered event a month as a Board of Ed member.
I think that's good. What if we specified at a school other than your home school? Is that too much?
Well, actually,
Or we could
this
say-
is just a personal goal of mine, but, and I don't know if we want to make this a collective goal, but each year, can each board member try to touch each school?
I was just gonna say ensuring maybe reaching all areas of the district
There's-
within that 9. I mean,
Because
it's only
more than
12.
then, not-
right?
That's 18, yeah.
Right, and so they,
We can
that's-
say at least one a month,
I like that.
at least.
So who's ready to wordsmith with me? When you're ready, no
I'm a math
rush. You did it before. So the
Every
board,
board member,
that's what I was thinking. Good.
right, will attend participate in, how about a participate in?
We'll
Sorry.
participate. No, it's okay. That's what I'm here for. We'll-
Participate in
Mhm.
an
At
board
least
engagement,
one.
at least one, thank you.
At
At
least
least
one.
one, thanks. At least one, right,
At least
engage,
one.
right, opportunities for engagement, opportunities for engagement.
Opportunities for engagement.
That's what, yeah, that's what we have, like a running document that has all those and lists them.
Okay.
How about, maybe we should say like school/community, just so other people who are not on the board know what we're talking about. If this is gonna be community facing,
BOE opportunity.
oh, I like that.
or Board of Education.
Opportunity, perfect.
That's distinct from
That's
other
great.
community things. If
You want to put
Yeah,
your
BOE,
teams as
BOE?
As a board member.
yeah.
It's a rough draft. It's a rough draft.
BOE,
It's
opportunities
BOE.
for engagement.
All right. Every board member will participate in at least one
BOE
Board of Ed
for engagement
per month.
per month.
opportunity
It
for
changes every
engagement.
summer.
Yeah.
So-
Opportunity.
There's less, because we tried, no, I'm saying I've tried, there's some, I don't know that there were opportunities.
There were.
It was July
Community.
4th, right, there were community events.
So
Right.
every board member will participate in at least one community or school engagement opportunity on behalf of the Board of Education or as a representative of the Board of Education.
Everybody go with that?
Yep.
You're gonna remember that? Here we go. All right.
She's the journalist.
Every
She
board
writes all
member
our
will-
stuff.
Former recovering
Ready? Go ahead.
journalist.
Come in. Okay.
And at least one school or community engagement.
Can I just say BOE, and I think the BO, because it needs to be something that we've been invited to on our shared calendar. It's not necessarily something, oh, I want to go to this. Right, which that comes
I
up
agree,
too, but
yeah.
Well, that's where as a representative of the Board of Education, if we're not explicitly invited through the administration, it doesn't, in my mind, we're not a representative of the board.
As a representative.
Yeah, thank you.
Then you can help me cross out what you want me to take out.
Because that, for example, the Board of Ed was invited to the cattle cards, and so that's a community event that we attended
Yeah, it
as Board of
counts.
Ed members.
Right.
Good. Okay,
And then how do we work in?
let's,
How,
tell me, go ahead, I'm sorry, Mary.
we just have to work in somehow or other, the rotating to multiple different schools.
Could that be under the action steps though?
Mhm.
Like we'll define that out.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Help me make this clear. What do you want me to cross out?
Cross out opportunities for engagement. And I guess BOE.
And
At least
BOE,
one,
this one,
yeah. And then you repeat at least one.
and at least
At
one,
least one school or community.
take this out, right?
Yeah.
Yep, at least. Every board member will participate in at least one school or community engagement as a representative of the Board of Education, as, yeah,
As a representative of
of
Board
the BOE.
of the
Yeah,
Board of
however you want to
Education.
write it out.
Now that we've taken out a lot of the words, we could probably add ensuring.
I like the action step. I mean, yeah. Because we got to leave something for the action step.
And,
Yeah, save some for your action steps.
and if it
Don't
boils
mind
down to that
misspelling
month,
there.
it happens to be your home school, okay, totally
Right, I think we
fine.
need to, I
but-
think we said per month.
Yes,
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Add that in.
Every
Month,
board
at
member will participate in at least one
School.
school or community engagement per
per
month.
month. Gina, I promise it's
We'll
gonna be
get there.
readable when I send it to
It's
you.
all good.
Per month.
I got it.
Okay. As a representative
So
of the Board of
the
Education.
only else, this is great. I don't, we just need to hold each other accountable. Because
We're
now,
gonna have
if
action
one-
That
plans.
is
No,
gonna be the key thing,
but I-
because if
no,
I'm
I'm saying
calling
now-
y'all,
as,
That's right.
no, but I'm
Action
serious. So
plan.
now we're setting it as one of our
Alright.
3 board goals. If one board member, I mean, as this is currently written, doesn't do this, then that board goal isn't achieved.
Very, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Lot of peer pressure.
Good.
Peer pressure.
but I
So
mean,
listen,
Alright.
not for nothing, but like compared to, I'm so sorry, but compared to like what our staff and teachers and administration have to hold them, are being held to by us. Low hanging fruit, people. It's not a lot to ask.
All right.
But we have to start
That's
somewhere.
true.
You have to start somewhere.
But
right.
Dr. Banlow, question for
I
you.
think, right, and I think that we all, I would agree that we would understand that if there was extenuating circumstances, that there's a sensitivity that we can all bring to that extenuating circumstances and unusual extenuating circumstances.
Sure.
That's why I feel like with this, it gives us a whole month. So if you miss one, there's always going to be some other opportunity. So I think
well,
this
and
is
some of them,
realistic.
like June, there's graduation. We're all gonna be at graduation, you know what I
Right.
mean? It counts. Like, I think, you
Mhm.
know, some months will be,
If
Like
you all
all-
go to the East-West game, that's a great opportunity.
yeah, back to school nights. We always, you
Mhm.
know, try to provide coverage at every single back to school night. So I think we can do this.
I have a process question for Dr.
Yes.
Banlow, if I can, just because this is the first time many of us have gone through this process. What does that accountability typically look like? Like, how do boards hold themselves accountable for
They
these
hold
goals?
themselves accountable, writing really good goals that they feel that they have ownership in and that are achievable and simple. Making sure you have very clear action steps that everybody comes to consensus on with the timeline. And by matching it also, you're going to be looking at your strategic plan too, to make sure that, okay, I'm going to look at the board self-evaluation in detail like Lori told me to, but I'm also going to take a look at the strategic plan as we work on those action steps.
So I think,
And so I hope I answered your question with that. Okay.
my suggestion, and then I know time checks, so we should move to the third one, but
Mhm.
maybe the last board meeting, whether it's a working or active session each month, we have a slide put up that just says opportunities for engagement, names, and whether you have a check mark or not. And then it's the
Public shaming, I
visibility.
love that.
Dean, that's a really, and that was mentioned at the leadership
That's the action
forum,
item.
like boards do that every month too, like to hold themselves accountable to the, here's what we've done thus far. Thank you, Dean, for going out to the board meeting, to the community event, like make sure you, yeah.
Maybe we do it middle of the month so that it gives people time to finish if they have.
Mhm.
Instead of the end.
Okay.
That's more action.
Yeah. All right.
Accountable.
2 good goals. Happy so far? All right, now
Yes.
here we go. Let's dig into governance. You
So
can
for
do- we
sake
can
of
do
time,
this.
is it okay for us to say something like create Board of Ed calendar and timeline with roles and responsibilities by the June of next year. Or January of next year, whatever that month is, but
Right, as early as possible. I think ultimately we could get to a cadence where it's shortly after org.
by next weekend.
I think begin it.
Renee volunteered.
Begin it by reorg. The maintaining it is a very big step that's important, and it's.
But
having-
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Miriam. I just
No,
cut you
no.
off. I think to Renee's point, it can't be by June of next year. I think it needs to be sooner because things like the CSA evaluation, some of those key dates are going to come up quickly. So I think, right after we have the new board kind of sworn in and in place for
Reorg.
January.
Yeah, reorg. I mean,
should be our
for
goal.
reorg,
I
yeah.
have a process question.
Mhm.
So it's this board that's gonna vote on these goals. So then what happens in January when there's a new board? Like, can we bind this, are we binding the new board to these goals?
Yes,
For the
yes,
next-
yes, because you know why it's important, Gina, is because of your board self-evaluation. You are reflecting on all the hard work that this board has done. And where are we now? And where do we want to head? And you're going to have those new members come in. They are going to be part of these goals.
Before
So
lame
then
duck.
I think
Before lame
that,
duck, right? 'Cause
Oh,
we
yeah.
I
probably
think
should
that
vote-
the calendar piece, like, I think we should do it, yeah, before, like, whenever we vote on these goals, if there's a majority behind these goals, then I think realistically that we need to start working on it. And to your point, Miriam, we did used to have, it was like a shared spreadsheet. I mean, I think it needs to be something like that where everybody's in it and everybody can see it. Because to be completely honest with you guys, I don't want to have to own it by myself and then be chasing everybody down. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work that way. Like, I think we all need to be into the calendar, accountable to the calendar.
Yeah, I
Otherwise,
mean,
it's
it
not
could be an
gonna work.
action. It's an action step of how we'll maintain it. So for the actual goal itself, is that what we're gonna write? Create a calendar and timeline with
Board calendar year 2020.
6 by reorg.
Yeah, I think that's
Good.
fair.
Or do you-
All right.
do you want to align it? It's for calendar. Okay, so calendar.
All right.
Yeah.
I know reorg is like a weird time. It's the middle of school year, but that is like,
That's
The
when the
new
new board
board.
comes in.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It also kind of aligns with our orientation process that we're going to work on as well.
Okay, so I'm ready for the wording. You ready?
Yeah,
ahead.
let's do it.
Go ahead.
Go for it, Renee.
Go ahead,
Um,
Renee.
I mean, can we just create a BOE calendar and timeline by reorganization every year?
maybe capturing. Like, I think we want to spell out what we're capturing on the timeline, right?
Yeah.
Something like the CSA eval and then trainings. retreats.
Capturing.
Create a board calendar.
No, I like that. Capturing significant trainings, votes, evaluations, requirements, like any. I'm open to any other words you want to throw out there.
Capturing significant training.
Statutory requirements.
Because don't forget, we're coming up on CUSAC, people.
Board activity, I mean,
Can't mess
board
with it.
activities, that was like, I mean, if we
Like-
look at the old issues profile, like that's.
But I don't think we want to duplicate the board engagements that were already
No,
done.
no. I mean, like activities as in like NJSBA, as in like CSA evaluation, that's. I don't know if
Maybe and
that's-
significant events or
Key significant training, statutory requirements, key events.
governed by
Well,
the board. of Ed.
workshop would fall under training
yeah.
and
Yeah.
evaluation falls under statutory.
Right.
Mhm.
We also have timelines like, I mean, this is where my head goes to, like the budget, right? Like budget discussions, like that to me, that's where I don't know if that's where you guys were thinking, but I'm like.
But
that's
again,
what
I
used
don't want to
be there.
duplicate what the administration already
Right.
does because they already have a budget
But this is for
timeline.
us to track.
Right, so
When it
for
start, like for
instance,
committees, let's say, that
when
it was
BNF
really,
would start that conversation.
because that was actually, it was
Got it.
broken out by committees, the committee topics. I don't know if you
Mm.
remember, but that's
Yeah.
what it was. So I don't know if that's, if we wanted that. I mean, it was involved. I don't know if we wanted that involved, but.
So far, we have created a board event calendar capturing significant training, statutory requirements.
And other milestones as deemed necessary by the board.
Yes. I love that.
Wow.
Woo,
Can I
Bridget.
take you with me? And,
Other as necessary.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You good? Okay. Those are your 3 goals. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
what I'm
Thank
going to
you.
do is I'm going to just take pictures of them. Do you want to keep these, or I can just, you don't have to, I
If
can
you're
leave
gonna
them.
take pictures of them, that's fine.
Okay, I'm going to leave them. I'm going to just take pictures of them. I will put together the goals. I'll send them to the 2 of you to look at. And then you're going to take it from there. Okay, you wordsmith, make sure the wording of the goal is great. And the action plan, you start working on it. And I'll send you a template.
Thank you
Okay.
for all the work that you put into
Oh,
in
you're
preparation for
welcome.
this.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is
All right, so
incredibly
don't mind me. I'm
helpful.
just going to clean up my stuff. Is there anything else I can do for you guys? And okay,
No,
good,
and we'll
good.
see you at
I'll
workshop.
see you at workshop.
I
Come say-
can't wait. I'll
come
be
say
at
hi to
all the
me.
governance related things. Thank you, Dr. Banlow. Moving on, we will have one public comment section this evening. I'd like to open public comment. If you would like to speak, please clearly state your name and municipality. There are no speakers in the room, so we will go online first, and each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, and the timer on the screen will indicate the amount of time you have remaining. Students are given the opportunity to speak first. You can put an S next to your name. I'm opening public comment for tonight. I'm looking online to see if there are any hands raised for public comment this evening. Seeing no hands raised up, I do see a hand raised. Phone number ending in 891. It is your turn for public comment. You have 3 minutes. Please give us your name and municipality.
Hi, my name is Jeff Podowitz, and I live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Budgeting to me is going to be very, very important, and there's a crisis coming in Cherry Hill. First, you need to understand that our taxes are unusually high in Cherry Hill, and since from between 2022 and 2025, our school tax has gone up totally. The school portion of our tax bill has gone up about 17.9%, almost 18%. That's between 2022, 2025. Also, Camden County has the second highest relative property tax rate of any of greater than twice that the second highest in the country relative tax rates. If you didn't know that property tax rate, if you didn't know that, that's the truth. That's what's going on. It's from the Tax Foundation. I'm just doing this anyway. We're in a crisis of our state aid. It's really bad, and to add to the crisis, we will have 2,000 kids in preschool expansion, with decreasing funding for preschool expansion in 2028, 2029, or even sooner than that. So we really are under a crisis. Our state aid went from 36 million to which was the height ever, down to approximately 18 to 19 million for the school year 2026 and 2027. So budgeting and letting the public be aware that, because I've been aware of it for 20 years, I understand school funding, and I commented on the numerous articles in School Finance 101 and NJ Spotlight News. I've been aware of this for 20 years, and I also believed that a preschool expansion back 20 years ago would exacerbate the problem. So what what's going to happen. And I hope they would tell people about what's going on, because it's really, really going to affect everything, the education of every student in this community. The School Board Association, I'm also interested in preschool expansion and I'm sorry, in kids with disabilities. And I've read Special Education as Service Not a Place. It was from a task force of the School Board Association. And what I read, and that's from 2014, what I read did make me happy. And what you need to understand, the problem is we are about to lose for the next school year all of our equalization aid, which includes 2/3 of our preschool aid, or 2/3 of our special education aid, SFR aid. We are going to lose all of it in the year 2026, 2027. So those kids with special ed are going to be affected. And I don't hear the school board talking about this like they should. They talk about a lot of other things, but not this. And also our aid overall will be cut 18 million. So maybe you should start saying that.
Thank
they
you,
should
Dr.
talk about it.
Potowitz. Your time is up. The next person online, it just says Zoom user. Zoom user, if you could unmute and give us your full name and municipality.
Hello, this is Rick Short, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Madam President, today you put a social media post out calling elementary enrollment balancing. Aren't we just really doing elementary redistricting? Why would we use words like that? Why would we use words that I guess just don't make sense to what we're doing? We're redistricting. And my other question is, it's pretty basic, is are you really going to tell the truth about why you're doing it in certain ways and certain designs? Because if you go on and on and on and claim that it's about balancing students, it's really not. It's about territories in certain schools in certain areas. Wish you guys could be more transparent and honest to actually what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Going back online, there's one more caller. It's Laura Einhorn. Please unmute, give us your name and municipality. You'll have 3 minutes.
It's Ann Einhorn, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So I kind of listened with avid interest to your goals. One thing that really bothers me is that there's a whole marginalized group of individuals out in your community, someone like myself, a senior citizen, okay, who, as you know, comes to your board meetings and committee meetings, because that's my thing. But you have lots of people out here who don't understand who you are. Okay. And I would suggest that, you know, as corny as it sounds, it's nice to visit, you know, the school groups, but there are a lot of us out here who do care about this system. And you have Harvest Fest coming up, have a table. You had the seniors thing that was done in September. I'm not talking about political fundraising events. I'm talking about maybe forming more of an alliance with the Cherry Hill Township. You have the senior groups that meet, you know, I know it's more pressure for you. I know you have children in the system, but you're missing out on real talent and perhaps thoughts out here. And when you do that, you can say, this is what we do. Tell me what your thoughts are. What can we help you with? And I think that would go towards any organization that you would visit as a school board member. I have to tell you, even though I'm really old, we used to do this in the old days, okay? Because no one understands what you're going through as a board member, okay? And it's not always that you're going to get negativity. It's just that you're there, that we do care about you, even though you may not have children in the system. I think that's really, really important. I also love the fact that you're really going to focus on policy, because ESME is a bunch of lawyers who have no educational foundation. And yet you as a school district, you know, follow the rules and follow the recommendations. But, you know, it's a very valid point that you're coming up on redistricting issues. I'm sure there's some other things that I've missed, but I would start on boundaries, the policies that were going to affect any redistricting. and the children and how they'll be placed. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for calling in and thank you for your comment.
Madam President, I apologize, but I'm 10 minutes past.
I understand that. There
my
are no
time.
more callers for public comment. So I am going to close public comment and I am going to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? I see a second. All board members in favor of adjourning. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.